Hello,
Hello.
hello, and welcome to this special episode of I Hate Your Movie.
I burped.
Cool.
That's involuntary.
This week, what are we doing? What are we doing? I can't remember.
We are talking about our childhood movies.
Childhood movies. What did you call it? I really like the name of it.
I like the name of it too. Video store memories.
Video store memories.
I mainly wanted to talk about how I became obsessed with movies as a kid. The weird movies and weird unseen gems.
Okay.
And should I just get into it now?
Well, I did. Well, this I introduced from my side as well.
Okay.
So I remember being into films from a very young age, but it's been really interesting because I've gone to kind of into a bit of a deep dive of what films are released when. I started in the year I was born. Obviously, there's some films I've seen that were before that, but I started in the year I was born. I worked my way all the way to the year 2000. Well, actually, I stopped in 1999 because 1999 is
Crazy.
blew my mind.
I bet, yeah.
How many films are in there, and it was really interesting to see at what point I seem to have really got into films. Because I remember as a kid, I recorded a lot of films off the TV. When I rented something from Blockbuster, I had two VHSs set up. So I had them one running through the other and then to the TV. So while I was watching it, I could make a copy of it and then send the original back to Blockbuster, and then I would have a copy. And I remember having this massive, well, to me it seemed massive at the time. It was probably just 12 videos, but to me it was this massive library of films that I just watched over and over and over again.
But Rick, you wouldn't download a car. You pirate.
I was pirating before it was cool, before everyone did it.
What if the Blockbuster comes after you now? With their two employees, the two last shareholders come after you.
Those people in the Blockbuster in America that's still
Yeah.
open. We want our £2.50 back.
Plus inflation. $100 million.
And the thing is, I remembered that really vividly, but I couldn't remember any of the titles. I couldn't remember many specific films that I had.
Yeah.
That I would have watched over and over again. So it's been really interesting to go back year by year and really go, oh my god, yeah, oh yeah, definitely, oh yeah.
Okay. My research was very different because I come from a far away land. I knew that your movies will be different than mine, even if we were born in the same year. I asked my Hungarian friends what were their childhood movies, what did they remember played a lot. And yeah, I was like, oh yeah, that.
You really kind of pick up films that you just, wow.
Yeah.
And films that at the time, obviously they weren't actually groundbreaking themselves probably, but to us, they were oh my god, I've never seen anything like this before.
Oh, I've got a few of those. Not groundbreaking at all, yet I love them. So how I became obsessed with movies is my uncle owned a video store. And this wasn't a chain. This wasn't Blockbuster. This was the Village video store. And it wasn't just the Village video store. It served 3 villages. It wasn't technically in my village.
Okay.
Did I say village enough times? It wasn't in my town.
You say village and I just imagining Resident Evil Village.
It was kind of like that. Zombies running around and big ladies with their big boobs running around. It wasn't even in my town. I had to walk loads, 40 minutes to it. And even though my uncle owned it, there wasn't nepotism. I got what was there. He hasn't held anything for me. And then I want to ask you, because I just made this realization. Now that I thought about it, it's obvious. But you know the things that I'm obsessed with, right?
Okay, yeah.
Can you name some of them?
I'd rather not.
Bad movies.
Yep.
Rapping in movies. Especially movie-themed raps.
Okay. I wouldn't have named movie theme raps if you pushed me for an answer, I wouldn't have said movie theme raps.
You don't remember I did that playlist that I put in the podcast links one time where I was I made a playlist of movie-themed raps, starting from Wild Wild West to
Vanilla Ice,
Freddy Rap from the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. And I was obsessed with sequel titles, you know,
So you got Electric Boogaloo.
Electric Boogaloo, Sister Act 2, Back in Habit, Speed 2, Cruise Control, and it comes from that, I think, all of these, because I always got the weird movies or the sequel movies because it was very busy.
So where did your uncle get these films from? Like,
That's a very good question.
like, there's no Amazon or anything at this. Where do you get them from in rural Hungary?
It felt fairly commercial.
Okay.
It was a tiny room, and it was mostly you had to go in and ask, what do they have?
Mm-hmm.
And they have porno as well, so it must have been really awkward with some people.
Yeah, can you imagine? Imagine if your neighbor comes by.
Growing up, I never seen the normal movies. I was seeing Charlie's Angels 2,
Full throttle.
Full Throttle. There you go. You know. Let me get into one. Have you ever heard of a movie called Flubber?
I have heard of a movie called Flubber, and I wrote that down actually in my notes.
Yeah.
Do you remember what year Flubber was released?
No.
Me neither, because I didn't write it down.
It must have been like right in the middle of my childhood.
Yeah, it was 90s at some point.
90s something. I was obsessed with that movie.
Yeah?
And thinking back on it, it must be so bad. I never want to I never want to watch it again. It must be so bad. Like, the things I remember from it is guy invents flying rubber. That's what Flubber is.
Well, it bounces endlessly.
It bounces endlessly. Also, it has sentience, just as a side thing. And like, one thing I remember from it is that a scientist is like this damn beaten scientist. Everything I do, it doesn't work. Yet he has a robot butler who's sentient. It's AI. I was like, just sell that. Just sell that. No, I have to make this bouncy rubber thing. And then what I also remember is the famous scene, I think. Anyone remembers anything from this movie is this. Robin Williams, the Mr. Flubber.
Mr. Flubber?
Mr. Flubber.
Is that his name?
Yeah, it's his official title. He goes and cheats at basketball.
Oh, he does. Yeah, he puts the flubber underneath the shoes.
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
bounce around.
Bounce up and shoot up to the rafters.
Just mangled.
Mangled.
They jumps and lands on some old lady eating a hot dog. Been flubbered.
Flubbered hijinks gone R-rated.
Flubber 2.
Flubber 2, the R-rated sequel. Flubber 2, rubber. Why not? The other thing I remember, it was mandatory in the late 90s and early 2000s in movies to have a dance sequence out of nowhere. And so when the flubber gets invented and it becomes sentient for some reason, I don't remember why. I think lightning hits it or whatever. Something like that.
Standard.
Standard, yeah. The flubber like separates into like 100 different flubbers, and they have like a choreographed dance. They have
Is it like a CGI like flubber dance?
It is. I don't remember how good the CGI is, but it's just a blob, so it can't be that bad, right?
Do they do something like typically 90s? Does it do the Macarena?
I want to say yeah, something like that.
Dances a Backstreet Boys song.
Mm-hmm. She's popular again.
Yes.
Via Deadpool. They do like little hula hoops, I think.
Okay.
And they jiggle, and that's funny because they're fat, because they're just a blob, and they jiggle, and that's hilarious.
Yes, because fat things dancing is funny.
Yeah.
It's like a 90s. It's like definitely a 90s thing.
That's all I got for flubber.
So you go for flubber.
Yeah.
So like, do you remember like watching these films and like understanding them?
No.
Because that's the main thing. Like looking back, like on all the films that I used to watch, kind of if I watched them again, A, would they be any good? And the answer is probably no. And B, would they say something else to what the childhood version of me watching it would be?
Yeah.
Like for me, my obsession film when I was younger, and I'm surprised actually because it was released fairly late. It was released in 1996.
Mm-hmm.
It was Space Jam.
You were 18 years old.
I was 10. How dare you?
Yeah. I watched Space Jam a lot as well.
I loved it. I had a copy of it, and how I got that copy, I don't know. But I remember watching it start to finish, and then rewinding it to the start and watching it again.
Whoa.
I think at one point I did that 3 times in a row. And yeah, there's loads in that film that just... Because people really mock Space Jam 2.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. I don't want to see it because I loved the first one so much. Mainly because there's like a crowd scene where they used every Warner Brothers.
Yeah, it's a bit cynical.
Yeah. And in that scene, there's like the characters from A Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, wait, that's a bit R-rated for this kid's film. But I remember in Space Jam, there's like a reference to Pulp Fiction.
Is there?
Yeah, there is. There's like the scene when they start fighting back. And I remember watching that scene again. So in between watching these back to back, I would then watch the scene where they turn the tide. Over and over again, and I'd be like really happy and I'd get all tingly. But yeah, there's a scene in that where like the two people with guns from what's it called? Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
Two people from guns from Looney Tunes. One always hunts the rabbit,
Yeah.
and one's
The cowboy guy.
yeah, the cowboy guy.
Yeah.
And they're dressed up in suits and they've got like pistols, and it's like ha ha ha.
I don't remember that. I do remember another saucy bit in that movie, though.
Saucy.
Saucy.
Is it Lola Bunny?
It is. They introduced this movie, birthed the first furries in this world, and then they sexualize it. I remember so vividly as the camera pans up,
Yeah.
on her body, and
Every 80s kid's first crush.
yeah,
Lola
yeah.
Bunny. They really toned her down for the sequel, apparently.
Did they?
Yeah.
Well,
There was both celebration and offense and outcry at the same time.
yeah. And is that true? That's Lola Bunny's first ever appearance.
I think so. I don't remember Looney Tunes having a girl bunny.
Do you remember the old Space Jam website?
No.
Oh my God.
There was a Space Jam website?
I might blow your mind on this. Yeah, there was a Space Jam promotional website that was accidentally kept going for a really long time.
Oh, really?
And they took it down and then they reinstated it so you can visit it now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's like, oh my God, it's a nostalgia fest. I'm going to put a link below in the description. It's beautiful. It's beautiful trip to the 90s internet. Everything you can imagine.
Is there flashing buttons?
There's flashing buttons,
Is
like
it
loads.
in a table somehow?
Yeah, there's a table. There's loads of like, yeah, flashing different things, trying to get your attention. I think the main page is like planet with the rings on, and the rings are the menu and things like that. It's like gallery. Do you want to see Michael Jordan in 140p? Slowly.
I hope they do that as well. I hope they've like kept the bandwidth of like
Yeah.
of the 90s and just have it load in the same speed.
You have to connect to dial-up.
I was about to say, I hope you log into the website. It's like.
I'll have to show you later. It's a trip.
But I remember so much of that film. Like it's just stuck in my brain, and I think probably now I'd find it really annoying.
Yeah.
But it just that's my first film. It's not like my Space Jam was your flubber.
Yeah. I remember Bill Murray being pointless in that film.
Oh, he is in that film.
And he's super pointless. Because I think that might have been the first film I've seen him in. And I'm like, who's this guy? And why is he why is he doing that?
He's playing. Well, the thing is, it starts off he's playing golf with Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And then he turns up at the end like one more guy, and he wasn't in the film at all.
And I'm like at 8 years old or whatever. Who the fuck is that guy? I haven't seen Ghostbusters yet. Who was your favorite character?
Who was my favorite character? Lola Bunny. No.
When you rewound it and played again, was it from that Lola Bunny reveal?
It's because it's VHS. You know, you watch a VHS too much and it like runs out and becomes all fuzzy. There's certain scenes in the Lola Bunny scenes and they're just really fuzzy all of a sudden. No, I remember really liking Daffy Duck in the film.
Okay. I like Daffy Duck. He's probably my favorite Looney Tune.
I didn't like him as a character or anything because he was just this cowardly, duplicitous thing.
Yeah.
In Space Jam, he was really funny. I remember him being like the voice of reason.
Okay.
Everyone else is like, "Come on, we can do this," and he's like, "No, we can't. Are you kidding? This is stupid." My favorite Looney Tunes cartoon is the Roadrunner, though. I think everyone loves the Roadrunner.
I love the Roadrunner, yeah.
What really annoyed me about Looney Tunes cartoons when I was a kid is there was never enough Roadrunner. It was always Bugs Bunny, you know. Every now and again you'd get like a Daffy Duck, but it was always like 1 in 10 was Roadrunner.
I've got a theory about the Roadrunner, especially for me. Why I like that the best is because he had no dialogue. And then in Hungary, Looney Tunes was in English. All the time, and I didn't understand anything, and so the Roadrunner was great because I understood it. Yeah. Any more on the?
No, well, like I said, I've got like 2 pages of notes. So
is that just on Space Jam? Does it just say Lola Bunny is my honey?
Yeah, one
Lola
page
Bunny
is a
my
picture
honey.
of Lola Bunny. It's a really sticky page of Lola Bunny.
Does it just say all work, no play makes Rick a dull boy? And also, I love Lola Bunny.
All work and no Lola Bunny makes Rick a double boy.
Yeah. So, do you remember this movie? I bet you do.
What movie?
Short Circuit.
Short Circuit. That's on my list. That is on my list of one of the first films I remember.
Yeah.
Like, I fully remember. My family were really into it. I remember us all watching it as a family, and even to this day, like if it's on at some cinema somewhere, like I'll get sent a link.
Do you know the very problematic thing about it?
The white guy who's not a white guy.
Yeah,
in
but
the film.
he plays a really stereotypical Indian guy. For some reason, I don't know why they just couldn't get an Indian guy. It's not even like super famous person.
No,
Weird thing.
just laziness.
Yeah, it's the movie that laid the groundwork for Chopping Mall. Robots get hit by lightning, goes crazy,
I always just assumed the Chopping Mall was first, no?
and laid the groundwork for Chappie.
And Terminator.
Maybe Chappie as well.
Chappie, yeah.
Yeah.
I've not seen Chappie.
I haven't seen Chappie.
But
Looks
it's-
boring.
Looks boring. I thought it looks quite interesting. And plus,
Yeah.
Rhys Darby's in it, no?
Okay.
And he's really good in everything.
I just remember they make that into like a gangster robot, and the same thing happens to Short Circuit. Johnny Five.
Johnny Five comes alive. Johnny Five is alive. Yeah, so I got a really funny story about that.
Yeah.
So I don't know when it came out. I didn't write that down. It was before 1994. Because what I did is I looked through all the years of the films. And I started with, like I said, 86. And I wrote a few down. I've got about 18 titles from like when I was born today. And then 94, it all just explodes. So I don't know when it was released. But when I was a kid, obviously, like I said, we all watched it as a family. And I was a little bit obsessed with it. And for some reason, we were like, I don't remember this, but my mum tells me about it all the time. We were in like a supermarket and she like insulted me, like jokingly insulted me. And I shouted out like a line from the film. Do you remember the line from the film? Hey, Laser Lips, your mother was a snowblower. Apparently I shouted that in that supermarket. Mum was like, what?
I remember imitating the input thing.
What's the input thing?
You don't remember?
No.
To be fair, 1 and 2 Short Circuit is really merged in my head. I can't tell which one is which anymore. But in one of the scenes, he escapes, and then he goes to a library or a bookshop, and then he picks up books. And then, because I was a really quick reader, it just flips it. It just goes, oh, I read it all. And it goes, input. And that's why I used to do as a little trick. I was like, look, I can read this little book quickly. Just did input. I was like, I read it.
It's like one of those things where your kid does that and you're like, oh, well done.
Yeah, but I actually did it.
No,
Yeah.
it's not possible.
Like lightning reading is like you pick out like the main context words that are important in a sentence and then you just remember.
I'm not in any way convinced. I think that's one of those things that your parents or like whoever was about was like, yeah, you did, well done. You told them what the book was about and you just pretended to read like War and Peace and you're like, it's about Cinderella. And they're like, yeah, it was. Well done.
It was one of those like baby books and I'm five words a page. I did it.
The cat went to the...
Input. I was a bit creeped out by him because he did look a bit like E.T. without his skin on. But at least...
It's like Robot E.T.
Yeah, kind of. But I don't know. E.T.'s flappy, gross, old, wrinkled skin was more creepy than just the skeleton.
Your fear of E.T. It blows my mind every time.
It blows my mind that not more people scared of E.T. I refused to watch that film when I was a kid.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and I wouldn't watch past when Elliot discovers him.
No,
I
no,
wouldn't. It's like, fuck
any bit
that.
of E.T.
Fuck that shit. I'm not going near that fucking... It looked like I pushed out a turd and it came alive.
Okay, so here's a question for you.
Yeah.
What's the first film, or if you were to try and really think back, what do you think the first film? I have an idea of what the first film I can remember watching is, but I'm not sure. What would be your first film? Do you remember watching?
I might need time to think.
Yeah.
I remember the first cinema experiences. You say yours and I'll think about it.
I think mine is obviously I wasn't alive in 1973, but I think mine is the 1973 classic Robin Hood with the fox. The
Oh,
Disney
okay,
Robin
this is the
Hood.
Disney one.
Yeah. It's the oldest film I remember watching.
Okay, that's one of the quality ones as well.
Mm.
Yeah, that's one of the better ones.
Featuring every 80s girl crush, the fox.
Yeah, maybe that created the furries.
Yeah, the fox in Robin Hood,
Yeah.
1973, is what Lola Bunny is to boys.
Okay.
So I've spoken to so many people that are like, you mentioned that film, and they're like, oh god, that fox was hot.
What kind of friends do you have?
Strange ones.
The furry convention. I think my first film, the one I can remember watching at home, is Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Of course it is. That's the first film you ever remember seeing.
Yeah.
Terminator.
At home. At home. It's really murky, the memory. But
Yeah.
yes.
So are you saying that you went to the cinema to see a film before you saw a film at home?
I have more vivid experiences being in a cinema than watching something at home. But the first one I remember watching at home is Terminator 2 Genesis? No, Judgment. It's the one with Emilia Clarke. That's the first one I've seen. First movie.
That's when Hungary got the VHS.
Yeah, that's when we got the Betamax. The Laserdisc edition. In the cinema, it was either The Mummy
Okay, yeah.
or Chicken Run. Because those two I remember, if whatever came out earlier must have been the first movie I watched. I think it might be Chicken Run, actually.
Yeah. I didn't see Chicken Run when doing my research, although I did see The Mummy. The Mummy came out 1999.
So I've been 8. Or, yeah, it's 7 or 8, depending on the month.
I would have remembered if Chicken Run, because about this time was the same time like Toy Story 1, 2.
Yeah, I
coming
missed
out,
all of
think
those somehow.
Ants and Bugs Life, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I completely missed all those.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've seen The Mummy.
Straight to Terminator 2.
Straight to Terminator 2. That's what I remember.
And you were 8 years old.
Yeah, or younger.
Yeah, I have a couple of those on my list as well. Like, I remember watching RoboCop.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh, same. I watched RoboCop all the time when I was a kid. I had no filters growing up. Here's a weird thing though, right? So I was scared of really weird things. And
Like E.T.
well, yeah. But I vividly remember, like, enjoying RoboCop. You know, guy turns into, like, toxic sludge goes on him. They hit him in a car, it just, like, explodes. Or more famously, when Ed 209 shoots the guy on The Office. Like really bloody, really awful scene. I was not scared of that. But I watched Kill Bill Volume 1. And I was scared of the knife fight and I couldn't watch it.
Yeah?
I was like, oh my god, this is like really real and violent.
I think, like, I remember watching RoboCop and I didn't feel, like, fear or disgust or anything from it. And you think you would as a kid. I think it's because you didn't really understand the consequences of what was happening.
Yeah.
I think that's the main thing, you know, because you don't really, well, I didn't really know much about gun violence when I was a kid. So seeing it in RoboCop, it just seems like, to me, it just seemed the same as like when you hold action figures together and you break off the arm, you know, because it's meant to break off, and you go, oh, you
That's
lost your
still
arm.
how I feel when I dismember people. Oh, it's just little puppets. They don't have any feelings.
So I think that's why, you know. But when you get to Kill Bill, you kind of have a bit more of an idea, right?
I think I was similar age.
Really? RoboCop was way before
Video, you know. This is not even the end fight of Kill Bill. This is the first one when he goes to that first victim on the list. And they just have a knife fight in the kitchen. And I thought it looks so real that I couldn't watch it. And I think I picked up maybe on like a really good editing, and that just like frantic, and like it just felt so grounded. It's like, oh my god, this could like happen. If someone could come in my room, like I couldn't be in the boardroom and Ed 2 and I'm not gonna come up and shoot
maybe
me.
that's the difference there. Maybe because it's
Yeah.
like you're so far removed from reality that you just
Yeah, it was
disassociate.
very ordinary. If someone just that's how that movie starts. If someone goes into a kitchen and they start knife fighting out of nowhere.
Yeah, I remember like one of the first things that like really affected me was the TV series Skins.
Oh, what's that?
You haven't seen it? Don't, it's rubbish. Everyone loved it.
Yeah.
It was my age. It was about a group of teenagers. It's when Nicholas Hoult started out.
Okay.
It was about like a bunch of teenagers, and it's doing teenage things. They go out drinking, fucking, and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, later in the series, like a serial killer comes out of nowhere, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, there was like a scene where a guy gets stabbed in the leg and he's like crawling up from down the stairs. And it's a scene from outside the door, and it's like a frosted glass door. And the guy's chased him with a baseball bat, and you just hear a doof, and then like, blood spurts up the window. Mm-hmm. I remember being like really affected by that. Like, it really got to me. I was like full of fear, and again, maybe it was just because like something that could actually happen. A guy had just gone round his friend's house, and his friend turned out to be like this like psycho killer.
Maybe also that was obscured with like frosted glass, and your imagination filled in the details, maybe. And that's the scariest thing usually.
You know, I wouldn't be scared by an alien on a spaceship because it's not gonna happen.
I would be. It's called E.T. and you all should be scared.
Not of Ridley Scott's Alien, but E.T.
E.T. Yeah.
Do you think anyone's edited the film Alien, but every time it cuts to the alien, it's just E.T.? Get away from her, you bitch!
Yeah. That's the movie I want to see.
Cool. What have you got next?
This is breaking news. I've got a new bad worst movie.
Breaking news. News today. The Dan Prim is about to announce his most hated movie.
A most hated movie. Forget Jack and Jill. Do you want to guess? I'll give you some hints.
Okay.
You say old Disney, like that Robin Hood. It is an old Disney cartoon.
Old Disney. Okay.
It's way older than me. It's annoying and it's fucking terrible.
Snow White?
No, I like Snow White.
Okay. I need more clues then.
It has cats in it.
Has cats in it?
Mainly.
Aristocats?
Yes.
It's actually.
It is. I fucking despise Aristocats.
Why do you despise Aristocats?
Okay, partially this is because I lived in the same room as my mum.
Okay.
And my mum fucking loved Aristocats. So she kept watching it and 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 watching it. To the point of I can still remember songs from it in Hungarian. Dole rosso doso mi dod. Minden macska tudja egy-két há. Emulate. And so on. That's the most annoying song as well, because it is like the little kittens. They learn how to play the piano, and then they fall on it, and it makes a bad noise, and then they start singing, and then they sing out of tune because they're young, and they're singing about how singing takes practice, and it's terrible. it's terrible. They sing out of tune for the whole time.
I've never seen Aristocats.
Oh my God. And then, like, thinking about it, this is a movie that'll make you a socialist or a communist. Because the plot is that there's this old bitch, kindly old woman, who's about to die or something like that. And in the will, she leaves her fortune to the fucking cats.
Okay.
And she has a butler who's taken care of her whole life, and he leaves the fortune to the cats. So the butler, rightly, puts the cats in a bag and tries to drown them and leave them in a ditch somewhere, which is what I would do in this situation. And for some reason, he's the bad guy.
Well, he's trying to drown cats, so...
Whatever.
Yeah.
Well, what is cats gonna do with money?
Hire the butler to look after them.
So yeah, so we're supposed to be relating to this fucking rich cats who are annoying, sing badly, and the whole movie is trying to be this cutesy thing, and it's just not. It's just bad on every level. I can't even understand why would anyone like this movie.
Because it's cute cats singing.
Rich cats.
Everyone loves a rich cat.
Everyone loves a
Fat
rich
cats.
Yeah. So yeah, my worst movie.
Worst ever movie, Aristocats.
Worst ever movie. New worst ever movie. And I put this movie on the lock and key in my safe in my brain. And while researching it, it came up again. So thank you.
And the floodgates have opened.
The floodgates of Aristocats have opened.
They just, in your sleep, just singing Hungarian Aristocat songs.
Yeah. It is in my brain again. As an earworm by force.
An earworm through the decades.
Do, mi, szó, do, szó, mi, do. Minden kultúr macska tudja, egy, két, há. Hogy Hogy kell fölle ugrálni a hanglitrán. Ne nyívákolj, mint akinek húzzák a fülét. Énekeddel főzd le a fülemülét.
Next time on Dragon Ball Z.
So that's why I believe that the oil workers in Armageddon were the better choice to go up to space.
Sure. I think your laugh gives away your true feelings. I mean,
His time was
he
up.
has a range. He was in also Eternal Spotless of the Child's Mind or whatever that movie's called. Eternal Spotless Mind of a Child. Why am I introducing a child into this?
I know what the title is, but this is too much fun.